Joe Sports Channel proudly present Respect Women 110% t-shirts. These shirts come in 4 different colors: blue, pink, green, and yellow. These shirts cost exactly $25 US and Canadian. With each purchase, $5 will be donated to the Women's Breast Cancer Research Awareness. And don't forget, every Saturday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, go to YouTube and search up Joe Sports Channel to catch up on new sports news and any special guests that may appear. And if you want to purchase more merchandise, go to joebooney48.wixsite.com/merch.
Welcome to Joe Sports Channel. You can follow me on Joe the Fighting J on Instagram. You can follow me on Taker Del1 hashtag Joe Sports Channel. Ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls of all ages, I can't be more thankful and honored bringing on play-by-play announcer from Toronto, Ontario, Jack Armstrong. How are you, Jack?
Joe, how you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, and thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be with you.
It's an honor, Jack. It's an honor. Since I was a little boy, I've always wanted for you to be on my show, and I finally have the opportunity for you to come on my show. Seriously, thank you for taking time out of your work to come on the show. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Anytime. How's the pandemic treating you, Jack?
Well, it's just like everybody else. It's been a difficult time, and just praying for folks, and it's been a challenge. Thank goodness we all have our health in my family, and just praying for people. And it's been a challenge for our society in general. So hopefully we get to the other side of this, and we're able to kind of resume whatever a new normal is. But needless to say, it's impacted the sports world, but more importantly, it's impacted our society in a lot of different ways.
Absolutely. My prayers go to you and to everyone in the United States of America and all around the world, because we need to overcome this somehow, and it's pretty sad. You know, the bubble with the National Basketball Association, the Lakers winning it. It's a total different era in sports today, and I have a lot of great questions to ask you, Jack. I actually wrote some stuff down. My first question is, what drew you to basketball? How did you start your career?
Well, my career, I've had 2 careers. I was a basketball coach after being a lousy player. And then after being a lousy coach, I became a lousy announcer. So here I am. No, I coached. I was a high school coach in Brooklyn. I was a college NCAA Division I coach for 14 years. And then when I left college coaching, I just finished my 22nd year with the Raptors. And whenever the next season starts, it'll be year 23. So I'm excited about it. So it's been a tremendous run. And I always say to people, you know, you have a love affair with something. It could be a guitar. It could be a paintbrush. It could be law, medicine, whatever. You know, my love has been that orange ball. And I feel very fortunate that I've had 2 careers in the basketball business, and the opportunity to meet some amazing people, to travel to some really cool places, and I'm blessed.
I'm blessed too. I'm blessed to hear what you have to say. We were supposed to meet, me and you, at the London Convention Center before this pandemic took its control. We're supposed to go down there and motivate some people. I heard you were going to come down and all this, and then when this COVID came along, everything kind of shut down and everything kind of went downhill. But I always say we're going to overcome this somehow, and we should come together as a country. Seriously, Jack. Now, the new basketball season's coming up very shortly. I heard in January, if I'm not wrong.
We really don't know. I think it's Joe. It's being negotiated right now as we speak. We're chatting on Thursday morning. What is it, October 28th, if I'm not mistaken? And at this point, your guess is as good as mine. I think they'd like to. I think the NBA owners have kind of indicated indirectly that they'd like to start before Christmas, December 22nd, with a December 1st training camp.
For sure.
I think the Players Union would like to go further back and start sometime in mid-January or even early February. So I think these are all negotiating points right now that Michelle Roberts, who's done an amazing job with the Players Union, and Adam Silver, the commissioner, will kind of go back and forth about. And, I think they have a good partnership and a good relationship. I'm sure there'll be some disagreements in there as well, but ultimately, I'm sure they'll come to some agreement, and hopefully we'll have basketball, whether it be in late December or sometime in January, February.
For sure. Now, is Toronto, the question, I have a really good question to ask. I think it's a good question. Is Toronto going to be playing at the Scotiabank Arena?
I don't know. I think they'd like to. I think they're going to make every effort possible to make that happen. As we know with the Blue Jays and some of the soccer teams, you have to not only meet federal guidelines, but provincial guidelines and city guidelines. So I'm sure there's discussions at every level. And not only are you dealing with the political people, you're also rightfully dealing with the health ministers on a federal, provincial, and city level. So there's a lot of moving parts there. But nonetheless, I think the Raptors will explore every option and try to make it work, as will the NBA, for them to play in Toronto. If that doesn't end up being the case, then I'm sure they'll look at alternative options that I'm sure there'll be a few there for them to consider. But I think at this point in time, I trust what the Raptors have put out in a press release, basically saying we're going to do everything possible to play in Toronto, which I think I want to see that happen.
I do too, man. I really do too. The last time we watched the Raptors play in Toronto, it's been months on end. We have this bubble. Now, going back to the Raptors winning the championship, my favorite saying from you is, get that garbage out of here. And I want you to say at the end of the show tonight, because let me tell you something, man. Every time I hear that, you motivate me, you motivate my family. You're just an inspired human being, and I have so much respect for you and your family and all the well-being you have and safety. Now, the Raptors, 2019 champions, what went through your head that moment when Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors won that championship?
Joe, when you're in the moment, you're so busy and so dialed into the moment, you really have a hard time even getting kind of sentimental because you're working, basically. You got, the largest television audience in Canadian basketball history. You're working for them. So at that moment, your job is to kind of capture the moment. And I thought Matt Devlin, my partner, did an amazing job in that moment. And as I always try to do, I'm just kind of a tag team partner. I just try to tag what he's saying and kind of go from there. So to me, it was a fabulous moment. But nonetheless, we were on live TV for probably an hour and a half after that game.
I remember
so
that.
Literally, it didn't really truly sink in until you finally get off the air and you go, woof, wow, did that really just happen? So I wouldn't say I have any magical feelings right in the moment because, quite frankly, you're too busy and you have a job to do. So, but when you get a chance to get away from it a little bit and reflect on it, it was just absolutely a remarkable run, something I'll remember the rest of my life.
I will never forget that moment too. I ordered the hat. It came in next day. I paid a lot of money for that hat, but it was worth every penny. It's actually on one of my walls over there, and it was a moment to never forget. I wanted to go down to Toronto. I wanted to go down to the Scotiabank Arena. I wanted to go see the scenery and all that, but it was jam packed in there. So I'm from London, Ontario, so we had a little celebration here, and man, oh man, it was crazy. And when I saw just the Raptors hold that title for the first time in franchise history. Those are memorable moments that I will never forget as a 20-year-old and as my years I go forward. Now, Jack, I know you were a coach for a very long time, but what triggered you to become a broadcaster after all those years?
I got fired. Literally, I was a college basketball coach, and we didn't win enough games, and suddenly they say, "Hey, you're no longer the coach." And I had a year left on my coaching contract. And I said, I'm kind of burnt out and I want to try something different. I love the game. I love being around it. At that time, the Raptors had a radio analyst position available and they hired Chuck Swirsky and I on the same day. And literally that was it, and then it kind of has just evolved from there. Television, radio, studio, you name it. And I feel very fortunate to have had a 22-year association with the Raptors. And so to me, Joe, I actually I thought that probably after a year, maybe two at the most, I'd be back coaching again. And it was not my intention to broadcast and have a long-term career in broadcasting. It was my intention to go back to coaching. But I had so much fun those first few years that I said, what am I, crazy? And then all my coaching friends said to me, Jack, you're nuts. Why would you ever consider going back to coaching? I mean, you're having a good time. You love it. You got a fun young team. It was kind of like a startup company, where the Raptors, when I joined the Raptors, they were only in their fourth year of existence. So you kind of get in on the ground floor and you grow. You make mistakes, they make mistakes, and you kind of grow together.
So it's like growing as a team, like a team effort, right? Teamwork, right? Got to have a team together.
Yeah, it sure is. I mean, and that's the part of it. To grow with your partners on television, on radio. I mean, I've had, I've worked with Chuck Swirsky. He was awesome. Obviously, I've worked with Matt Devlin, who does a phenomenal job. He's great. And I also work on the radio with Paul Jones, who does a sensational job. And I've had so many other folks that I've worked with over the years, colleagues, whether it be in studio, our TV panels, whatever the case may be, at Raptors TV, which is now NBA TV Canada. I worked at Sportsnet, the Fan 590, TSN Radio. The Score, you name it, over the years. There's been CTV, CBC, so it's been a really cool ride. And, the fun is the people. I love the people I work with.
The people are the most important thing in on your career, right? You got to look at that. Now, as a 20-year-old myself, my dream one day is to be where you at, and I'm taking every step. When I was 3 years old, I always wanted to become a professional broadcaster. And I can't be more honored and thankful having my own YouTube channel, having a lot of supporters that support me all around Canada and especially around the States and North America. But what is the key to accomplish a successful career?
Well, I think you got to really work at it. Number one, obviously. Number two, you got to know your topic, whether you're going to do hockey or baseball, basketball, football, soccer, whatever it may be. You have to have an expertise in your area. You got to be super prepared. You got to know what you're talking about, and you got to have a little personality too.
Sure.
I think our job's to not only inform, our job's to entertain. And you got to keep it fun. This is sports. It's a fun outlet for people, and people a lot of times turn to that For example, for me, I'm a huge sports fan. So, as you know, we have a political election coming up next week in the United States. I'm watching the World Series. I don't want to watch the political nonsense that's on TV. I don't want to hear people yelling and screaming. I'd rather hear people yelling and screaming and watch a football game or a baseball game. So for me, I think I like to get away from things with sport, and I think a lot of other people do too. So, and obviously sports and societal issues do cross and do connect. And I think the NBA did a phenomenal job this summer with that. And I'm glad to be part of the NBA family that does that. So it's one of those things that when you get on the air, you gotta bring that enthusiasm, that energy, and that passion and preparation. And I would say the last thing would be that you got to be willing to go into things and not put a value on things financially early in your career. What does the term paying dues mean? Sure. I think you go in and you say, if I'm willing to work in a smaller market and pay my dues and work my way up, the old line, for every bright light that shines on Broadway, there's 1,000 broken lights. Too many people are in a rush to get to the big show before they've put their time in, and they skip steps. And when that big moment comes, they're not ready for it. So my recommendation to young broadcasters is if there's an opportunity in a smaller market, do it. Because, I know you want to be the news anchor at CTV or anchor Sports Center or whatever the case may be, or a play-by-play, but you're going to get one shot to do that. And if you don't do it well, you're not going to be there long. So pay your dues in smaller situations where you can make mistakes, learn from your mistakes, get experience, in a place where you're in front of a camera, in front of a mic, and the more you do it, the better you get at it.
Sure. Jack Armstrong, I used to be frightened from the camera, frightened. So I would just start recording myself day in and day out. And I got used to that. It was like a routine. It's like waking up, making your bed. And I said to myself back in 2006, let's start my own show. So I just started talking about all different kinds of things, funny things and all that. And I said to myself, okay, I have something there. It's not clicking yet. So I kept practicing over and over again. It's like a bicycle. You have training wheels, and after that, you're riding with no training wheels. So I started coming on camera, and this web camera, I'll tell you something, Mr. Armstrong, it has made me so proud of myself, so successful, and I feel so motivated speaking to people out there, youths. I want to help people. I want to bring back to people. I want to give back to people. I want to talk about sports. I think I know a lot of sports. I've been studying it for a very long time. And one thing about me that I love as sports, as the commentators like you and so many like Rod Black motivate young children to be where they are, because there's a lot of kids these days, they're afraid to come on camera and say what they want to do. And people like you guys are the ones that make everybody proud, and especially me, Jack.
Well, thank you, Joe. I think self-confidence is a big part of it. And hearing your experience, I think that's great that you did that. And to me, I think kind of getting over the apprehension and the shyness and and just building that comfort level and that confidence level is a big thing. And no, there is that point sometimes where that red light comes on and you have the butterflies, but that's a good thing. And you never ever want to go into it where you don't have butterflies. That's good. When you have a big game and the crowd's roaring and you want a little nervousness in you because that means you care. That means you really want to do well. And you're thinking of a lot of different things, and you want to make sure you do it right. So to me, I think that's what I talk about when you talk about passion and enthusiasm, that if you have that, it's going to come through. And then little by little, the more confidence you get in front of a mic and or in front of the camera as well, I think that translates into how you do on a radio show or how you do on television, whether you're a reporter, whether you're a host, whether you're the play-by-play person, a sideline, an analyst, whatever the case may be. I think so much of it just comes down to getting the reps, as you said, riding the bike. And to me, that's so important So again, I go back to the fact that working in a smaller market, it's like the minor league, single A, double A, triple A, and then you get to the show. To me, it's the same thing in broadcasting. And when I watch people when I speak to young people, say, "Well, I want to be on TSN next year. I want to be on Sportsnet next year already," and I'm like, "Whoa, hold on a minute. Make sure you're ready, because it's very competitive. Make sure you're ready. You might get the opportunity, but if you're not good at it or not totally prepared for it, someone else is going to take your spot." So it's really important. That's a big thing. But confidence comes through when people see, and you can't fool people either. You got to be yourself. You got to be yourself on camera. People can see whether you're authentic or not. People have that BS detector out, and they can tell whether you're the real deal or not. Are you an actor doing sports, or are you actually yourself doing sports?
Yeah.
That's big.
And you got to love yourself too. You really got to love yourself. I always ask people, how can you love that other person if you can't love yourself? You have to have confidence in yourself. And when you have confidence in yourself, you can go and do those things that you want to do in life. But when you don't have confidence in yourself, that's when people have low self-esteem, and that's sad. Go ahead,
Well,
Jack.
let me, I want to say something to you on that, Joe. And I think I agree with you on that. And I think it's so important as a society that, too often right now, everyone's got their head buried in their phone.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things going on around us. We have to pick our head out of the proverbial sand and see what's going on, not only from a societal standpoint, but also a personal human standpoint. That if I see somebody that's having a rough day, I got to take my head out of my phone and not text them, but call them and talk to them. And if you have the opportunity to be with them in person, say, "Hey, let's go have a cup of coffee. Let's go for a walk," whatever. I think when you show people you care, it makes a big, big difference. And I think that instills confidence in people, and that instills belief in people. Having the time to just have a quick chat with somebody, you just never know the impact that makes on somebody's life at that moment. And you just never know when people are really struggling. So I agree with you. And I think that's a great point you bring up, because, I think now as a father, a husband,
God
a
bless you.
colleague, a mentor, whatever the case may be, those are important things.
Now, as a broadcaster yourself, working for TSN and all the great radio companies in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, are you a Canadian citizen yet? Because I know you're American. Have you got? Yeah, my mom told me before you go on there, you better remember to say that to Jack. She wants to know that answer.
I'm an honor. I think I'm an honorary. I haven't gotten. I live in Lewiston, New York, which, I mean, literally my backyard is Niagara Lake. So I live right on the Niagara River. I can be in my backyard right now, and I'm staring about 400 yards away, 4 football fields from me, just right across the Niagara River. I can see Queenston Heights and Niagara Lake. So I'm as close to the border as you get. I live in Lewiston. My wife is from here. Her family's originally from here. And so when I left New York City, I grew up in Brooklyn, and I was a college coach at Fordham University in the Bronx. And when I came to Western New York, Western New York, which is Buffalo, Niagara, in 1988, I live in the same house I did when I got married in 1993. So this is home. My kids have been raised here, and I have an interesting job. I'm never going in and out of Toronto at rush hour. So literally, I mean, if I leave my house at 1 o'clock, I'm downtown Toronto by 2:15, 2:20, because at that time of day, there's nobody on the road. If I happen to go home after a game, by the time we're off the air and all that, probably not done till like 11 o'clock at night. I'm home by 12:15, 12:20. So it's a doable commute. Now, a lot of nights I stay overnight in Toronto because I have an appearance the next day, or we're chartering somewhere, or whatever the case may be. But it's worked out really well. I spend a lot of time in not only in Toronto, but in all across Canada. And I feel like I'm an adopted, hopefully an adopted part of the Canadian basketball and sports culture.
You sure are. You sure. You are adopted. We adopt you from Canada. We love you here, Jack. Seriously, we really do. And are the Toronto Raptors still a contending team to the finals?
Well, I mean, I look at them this year. Would they lose the game 7 to Boston, but by 4 points? You know, and I look and I say, I'm not putting blame on them. I'm just stating fact. If Pascal Siakam just plays to the level we know he can play at, I think that's a 4 to 5 to 6 point swing right off the bat. I think they beat the Celtics. I think they're in the East Finals against Miami. So to me, yeah, I think that they still are a contending team. Now, Joe, a lot will depend on what happens here in the weeks ahead in terms of free agency and where things go with Fred VanVleet and Serge Ibaka, those two guys in particular. But I still feel like they have a really good foundation and cornerstone of good values as an organization. And to me, I think that's really important to consider. And I definitely think that they've been, they've had a 7-year run in the playoffs, and it's been a tremendous run. And I feel like they have a lot of the good pieces in place to continue to have success.
Now, I know Gasol went back to Europe to play for his country. And we have Larry, who's over, I think, 35, 36 years old.
Well, I mean, actually, Gasol, nothing's confirmed yet with Marc Gasol. I mean, that's all speculation at this point. So I really don't know what Marc Gasol is going to do, but that has not been confirmed. That's just speculation.
Is that because I heard rumors going around Gasol's going back to Europe, and I said, damn.
That's rumor, but that's not fact.
Now, Kyle Lowry, he's getting up there, but he's still playing like he was when he came to Toronto. You think Lowry is the answer for Toronto as point guard?
Well, I mean, Kyle Lowry's had a great career in the NBA with Memphis, Houston, and Toronto. And he's been, obviously a cornerstone of success with the Raptors. So I still think he's got a lot of good basketball left in him. He's in the final year of his contract coming up this year. I feel very comfortable and confident in his abilities. I mean, based upon what I saw a year ago, I still think that he is in the upper echelon of point guards in the NBA. I hope that they're able to retain Fred VanVleet as well, because that 1-2 combo between those two guys, those guys are just winning players that do whatever it takes to get the job done. So I'm hopeful to see both of those guys in a Raptor uniform for quite a while. I
love Fred. I think he's phenomenal. When he hits those threes, it reminds me of the Ray Allen back in the days when Ray Allen used to hit that 3-point buzzer to tie the game against the San Antonio Spurs. And Fred is a great player. You know what? Toronto is a great team no matter what. They've always had a decent team all around. And, I think Toronto is missing one key player. They got rid of Kawhi Leonard, and they left back to LA. Now, I have a question to ask you. You think Kawhi should have stayed in Toronto? Because we gave him so much.
Should have, I mean, there's so much. I mean, shoulda, coulda, woulda. I mean, again, we won't be able to write that story and write that book until it's all said and done in the years ahead. And I'm sure he won't really be able to have a true reflection and be able to say whether this was the right thing or not. Things didn't end well last year for the Clippers. We'll see now this upcoming season how that works out. He can opt out of his deal after this year if he wants to, as can Paul George. So we'll see how it all shakes out for them. I think that's a hard question to answer right now. And you never begrudge a guy the opportunity to go home and play in his hometown and be around his family. I don't. And in the year that he was in Toronto, the guy delivered. He was a pro. He did a phenomenal job. He didn't ask to be traded to Toronto. And then, collectively bargaining, he had the right as an independent contractor to go wherever he wanted to go. And he decided to go back to LA. So I respect that as well. On the other hand, I was disappointed he left. I still think Toronto would have been the best place for him. But again, he and his representatives felt differently. So be it. Life goes on. You move on. And I think the Raptors did an amazing job moving on without him.
I think they did. And I think we did all we can to try to keep him there. But you know what? He went back home, and I would do the same thing, go back home. But I wish he stayed another year, But, should have, could have, Jack, it's been an honor. Seriously, I hope we can meet up in the near future. Hopefully, the Your House Social Enterprise, we can have an event at the London Convention Center, meet somewhere, have a show with you one-on-one person, come and see the studio. I really want to see the studio. I want to see a lot of things down there. But you have been my idol since I was 6 years old, man. I have a lot of respect for you. I love you like, my own uncle, whatever. Seriously, thank you for everything you have done for Toronto, but thank you for mentoring me to the right path. Everything you just said now, I'm going to put it in my head and move forward in life. I'm not going to look back. I'm just going to keep moving forward, Jack.
Well, Joe, thank you so much, and it's been an honor and privilege to be on with you. And yes, I was supposed to speak in London back in April, and hopefully we can reconvene at some point down the road when things settle down, and I'll come out to London. That would be great. But in the meantime, no, it's been fun to be on with you, and congratulations on the start of a really nice career that you have going. And there's a lot of road ahead of you, and there's a lot of different things they'll come up along the way. But I think your passion and your enthusiasm and your love for it will carry you through and really bring you to success in whatever you decide to do in this industry, or if you decide at some point in time to do something else. But the most important thing is to do it with the best of intentions and the best of everything you got, and I know you will.
Thank you. Last thing, can you please say, then I get that garbage out? I need to hear it on the show.
Get that garbage out of here.
Thank you, Jack. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
No problem. Take care. Jack Armstrong, Toronto Raptors play-by-play commentator. Thank you very much.
Peace. Hello, it's game day. Let's get it going. Cross game days, and for events I come on over, and it's a very easy commute because I go into Toronto during the early part of the afternoon when the traffic is very reasonable, and then I'm on my way home at night if I'm coming home after a game, again very reasonable. The game traffic is cleared out by the time I get out of the building, and then on the Gardner and QEW, and I'm on my way home. It's an easy ride at night. There's nobody on the road, and I have the ideal commute. Last night, Niagara-on-the-Lake was an opportunity to speak to their basketball teams, and always enjoy doing that. You try to say one or two things that maybe will resonate with them and carry over for them in the game of life. Speaking to kids is probably the most inspirational, because if you can make an impact on even one of them and get them pointing in the right direction, I mean, that's pretty cool stuff. Normally on a game day, I like to run. I run right along the Niagara River. Today, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get my run in because I was invited to speak at an event in Buffalo. That was really cool. School guidance counselors, chatting with them about, the impact that they make on young people. The only thing I'm not doing today that I normally do is run on a game day, but other than that, it's my normal routine. I drive in and relax, and this is a pretty cool, easy ride. A lot of times I catch up on phone calls and chat with people, and been doing this for 20 years. It's worked out pretty well. I call my mom every day. I've been doing it my whole life. She's the only one that calls me John. Everyone calls me Jack, and that's obviously the nickname for John, but my mom still calls me John. It's great to connect with her, and you always finish that conversation every time with "I love you," and I'm lucky to have her in my life.
Hello.
Hey, Mom, John.
Oh, hi, John. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Did you have a game? Oh, you were off last night.
I was off last night. I spoke in Niagara-on-the-Lake last night. So so a few games in a row tonight and tomorrow night. So.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Very good. All right, honey.
All right, Ma. Love you.
I love you, and have a great day.
Okay.
safety and enjoy.
All right.
Okay?
All right. Love you. Have a good day.
Love you. God bless.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Bye, honey.
Love you.
Bye.
That's old school Irish, right?
The best.
You know, I've worked with Matt Devlin for close to 20 years. I started with Matt doing college basketball. We have a lot of fun together. He's got an incredibly witty sense of humor, and we have a good time together. San Antonio Spurs, tough game tonight. You know, they're one of the best teams in the NBA. They're banged up. No Rudy Gay tonight, no Manu Ginobili, and no Kawhi Leonard. It still ain't gonna be easy. And that is a Jack Armstrong game day. Get that garbage out of here.